Thanks so much, Matt, for joining me today. Um, just a little bit about myself. So I am a career and leadership coach. I've been coaching for almost 3.5 years now. But my background prior to coaching involves a lot of twists and turns within retail and HR and now coaching, obviously. So I'm excited to facilitate this discussion today because I truly believe that AI is a really important tool in a strategic job search strategy. I will say that AI is one part of your strategy, but it's a really important one, and I can't wait to share with you why and how. Here's an agenda for today. Um, I plan to kick off. We'll do some introductions. I'd like to share with you sort of like why even use AI as part of your job search strategy. It seems like you two probably understand that it is important because you're here to learn about it. But so I sort of present some information about sort of what it can do for you. Then I'll go into more specific resume tips of how to use AI, LinkedIn optimization, and then how you can use it for your cover letter as well. And then we'll kind of wrap it up. I will say that because there's only two of you, that really gives us an opportunity to make this like pretty interactive. And, so I would encourage you to ask questions as we go through this. I don't want to just be like speaking at you the whole time. If there's certain things that are on your mind, like questions that you have, please just ask me as we go through this. Again, this is a small group, so like we can really like have that discussion versus me just like dictating sort of the agenda at you. So here is the case for using AI. As you can see these pictures there, the first one is somebody feeling very stressed out, and the next one is somebody feeling a little bit more relaxed. But maybe you are experiencing a little bit too much of that with your students, Anne Marie. But so the so here are some of the uses cases for AI. So it can help you clarify your story. So again, if we're thinking about a job search strategy, you're wanting to really articulate your strengths and your skills without the pressure of just like starting at a blank page. I can't tell you how many times, so when I coach my career clients, they come to me and I'm like, well, what are you good at? And they're like, I lie, I like to talk to people. You know what I mean? But it's like, how do you put that into better words, right? So AI can help you to do that. So you're really like turning messy, vague words and experiences into more sharp and compelling language. It can really help you highlight what's relevant for your next job, not just what you've done, and do that professionally, polishing your tone and sounding more confident and credible. Um, incorporating AI into your resume and your LinkedIn profile, it enhances the quality and relevance of your applications. And I'm going to show you how it does that. But it also can help you align with current like recruitment trends and increase your chances of securing interviews and job offers. And again, we'll kind of go through sort of how that works. So I'm not checking the chat here. So if you decide to chat, just let me know. Okay. So here's some statistics for you. So like I said, it can enhance your interview and job offer rates. There's a study from MIT that found that job seekers use AI-assisted resumes experience an 8% increase in hiring rates and a 7.8 more job offers. And they secured salaries that were 8.4% higher than those who didn't use AI. And also using AI, obviously, this is the obvious thing, it saves time, right? Instead of spending hours staring at a screen, you can drop something out in seconds, you can generate ideas and move really from that being stuck to done faster. Now, right, is this ethical? And so there's been some studies out there. And this one from resumebuilder.com, a survey that they did said that 70% of hiring managers say it's okay to use AI tools for resumes as long as the content is accurate and reflects the person. And another survey by Zeddy said, apologies. So 500 HR managers were surveyed, and 2/3 of them approved of you using AI for creating documents such as resumes and cover letters. So that kind of signals that there's a broader acceptance of AI being used. Um, so those are just some misconceptions here are that AI will write you the perfect resume, right? You AI generated resumes require human refinement. You want to be ensuring accuracy, personalization, and always like alignment with the jobs that you are applying to. There's potentially the misconception that AI can replace human networking. And so while AI can optimize like your LinkedIn profile and suggest connections, it can't replace the value of building those authentic relationships, right? And having meaningful conversations. Um, there's a misconception that AI generated content is always ATS friendly. Are you familiar with applicant tracking systems? Okay, um, so lots of times when you're generating your resumes, you want to make sure that they have like certain keywords that are flagged in the system that are like relative to the job descriptions. And so again, you need to be like looking at your resume with a human eye after it's generated and not just relying on ChatGPT to do or AI to do all the work. AI will get you a job with no effort. I think that's pretty obvious. Again, you need to be the job seeker needs to be proactive, be strategic, and not just rely on, sort of this robot generated materials and tools. And finally, the misconception that AI replaces the need for personal branding. So while AI can help craft compelling summaries, a strong personal brand really requires that human input and authenticity to ultimately stand out. So some AI pitfalls could be, lying or exaggerating on your resume, copying or pasting without reading or editing, and really relying on AI to tell your whole story. This is a tool that should enhance your voice and not replace it. Okay, so now I will get off my pedestal and we'll actually talk about how you can use it. But before I sort of dive into these tips, does anybody have any questions yet? So most of the AI that I'm referencing in this presentation is for ChatGPT. I know you can use Claude, Gemini, there's like a zillion of them, right? But the prompts that I have that I am recommending in here are all ChatGPT prompts. I'm not saying it's the best one, it's just the one that I use. There is also a book, Sarah, that I recommend. It's called Coach ChatGPT. And it's really helpful. It's by Jeremy Sheffield. And it has like tons of information. A lot of what I'm telling you today is like from that book. Yes. Okay, so when I coach my clients on building a resume, the way that I coach them is that you initially build like a foundational resume, right? So like let's say someone is looking at actually I have the example later in this. It's like an HR generalist, just HR generalist role. So you might build a foundational resume for that role. But then every time you apply to that job, you're tailoring your resume specifically to that job that you're applying for. So I'm going to show you some prompts to use for each sort of step of that. So the first piece is foundational resume. So there's basically, let's talk about like these three biggest parts of it. You got your skills, you got your bullets, and your professional summary. I have professional summary last on here, even though it's usually the first part of your resume, because you will use the rest of what you're creating to generate your professional summary. Does that make sense? Okay. So, so here's a prompt that you could use if you're trying to generate like what to write for your skills on your resume. I'm applying we're using HR generalist. You put HR generalist roles. I've pasted 3 job descriptions below. Identify the most common mentioned skills across all three and suggest how I should list them in the skills section for my resume. And then you paste those job descriptions for the role of interest. I'm going to actually show you, like, I'm going to go through these actions so you can see it happen. But what I want to tell you is these prompts, you need to be specific. You need to tell it exactly what you want, and so that it can be have enough information to give you the best results, right? So let me show you. So I just like, I'm gonna copy and oops, paste this. Oh, it's not gonna let me in sharing mode. Hold on 1 second here. So I'm gonna copy and paste this prompt and kind of show you this first one in action. So this is what the ChatGPT page looks like. Has everybody seen this before? Okay. So since we're doing HR generalist, and then I just went and found like 3 job descriptions on LinkedIn for HR generalists, and I copied and pasted them into a Google Doc. They're all on here. We paste those. And then you just click go. Okay. So it's actually giving me 2 different responses, and you can decide, which one that you like better. Can everybody still see my screen, the ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, okay, the response one actually like bucketed them. But these are all the skills that were listed throughout the job descriptions that were like the same, right? So then what you would do is you would go through and be like, which one of these do I have? Right? So I would go through, I would literally like take a highlighter and be like, I have this one, I have this one, maybe I don't have this one, blah, blah, blah. And that's how you can generate what the skills that you're putting on your resume that are relevant to the jobs that you're applying to. Again, they have it sort of listed in 2 different ways. Like this one is just a laundry list of all of them, but this one kind of like buckets it. So depending on how, you want to present it in your resume, like there's 2 different options. Now, this is also helpful so maybe there's like 3 things of the skills that you highlighted that you don't have any like experience in. Well, then you might think about like how if this was in all 3 of the job descriptions, maybe this is something that I want to upskill in, right? So this is like a good sort of like inventory to think about like, okay, if I want this job, but they're saying that you need all 3 of them are wanting experience in leave management, then maybe I should go take like a free course on leave management or something, right? And then I can put it on there. So, any questions about how this works or anything like that? Yeah, and so what you could do though is you could copy and paste your resume and now or the skills that you have on your resume and say, where are the gaps? And then it would just tell you and you wouldn't have to spend the time like going through it all, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me go back to my slideshow. Um, Okay, so let's move on to resume bullets. So if you to look at these 2 bullets, which one of these do you think is better?
Option 2, since it has
Okay.
like the 20%, things like that.
Hmm. Okay, and so generally, why do you think it's better?
Um, at least when I'm looking at it, it just has more information in terms of, exactly what you were doing, as well as the improving response time and reducing errors is like it's like a result of your
Yeah,
actions.
exactly. It shows your impact, right? So many times, and I would say this is probably the thing people struggle the most with. Oh my goodness, I'm having a lot of okay. Struggle the most with is with their bullets. And because people just write, so it's similar to the first one there, just a task, right? They handle paperwork and answering HR questions. That doesn't tell me anything great, right? And so what you can do is, so if you have existing bullets, you can copy and paste the bullets into ChatGPT and say, rewrite my bullet points to sound more results oriented and include quantifiable achievement. I'm applying for a blank role so that it knows sort of like the direction, the relevancy. And here's my current bullet. So that's what I did in order to go from option one to option two. So again, then you think about, is this still accurate? Because a lot of times they will make up a metric, right? And then you have to say, well, I'm not sure that's true. But this would still be strong if it said streamline employee documentation and served as first point of contact for HR inquiries, improving response time and reducing administrative errors, right? Even if you didn't say by 20%, you're still showing impact and progress if you didn't have that 20% number or didn't know that to be true. So, that's something you have to watch for when you ask them to, do the bullets, is because sometimes they make up metrics because they don't have any, right? But it's like you can't put that, that's inaccurate. That goes back to the pitfalls. So, any questions about how to use a prompt like this for bullets? Okay. So then the third part is the that I wanted to talk about is the professional summary. So a prompt that you could use is create a professional summary. Again, I'm it's better to be specific because sometimes you could say, if you said just create a professional summary, it could come up with like 1,000 words. That is way too long for a so give it like a how many characters you want. Sometimes I'll say like I want it to be 3 sentences, right? That showcases my skills and experience relative to actually, I think I have. Okay, so I put in some data here. Relevant to an HR generalist in an healthcare industry. And then you would copy and paste your resume. So far, you have your skills and your bullet points, right? And so you can put that into there. You can also say, here's my resume and the job description, right? And then it really knows how to sort of like make it relevant. And so at a first pass, this is what, let's say, I put the bullets and the skills in. This is what came up. I'll give you a second to read it. Okay. So, I mean, I think this is fine. It's pretty good. But like after I read it and like consider it, my opinion is that this is like a bit of like a laundry list. Like it's just listing different things that I can do. And I also feel like it's maybe a little unnatural. I don't know. So this is where you can continue to refine it, right? So a refining prompt that I could put in is, this seems like a laundry list and I want to better communicate that I'm great at building relationships. I didn't feel like that really like stood out, and that's something that really defines me as an HR generalist, let's say. So you could put that prompt in and this is what comes out. Um, Again, maybe you liked that and that's fine. Or maybe there was something else that stood out to you that you didn't like. But again, you can continue to prompt it with your thoughts to make it more of what like feels good to you. Um, so as you can see, this one, it talks more about those stronger connections across teams. And it really leans into that instead of just like listing every single thing, because that list of things is in my skills anyway, right? It doesn't also have to be in my professional summary. Okay. So in the beginning, we talked about the idea of having your foundational resume, and then the second step being tailoring each resume for your application. So now we're at the second part. So you have your foundational resume for HR generalist, basically, but now you found a great job online that you want to apply to. And you want to make sure that your application and your resume is very specific for that job. And that means that it's including the keywords in that specific job description. And so most of your content will stay the same, but some of the verbiage might change. For example, maybe in the job description, they use the word client instead of customers, and you're using customers in your resume. You want to change that, right? You want to match the verbiage. Um, so here are like a couple of prompts that you can do to use that. So tailor my resume to this specific job posting for HR generalist role at uh, Hershey's. I don't know why that. I must be hungry. I'm thinking about chocolate. Okay. So then paste your current resume. So then you paste in the resume that you have and the job description and see what comes out. Or another one, take my experience as an HR generalist, identify which skills I should highlight. Again, you enter all of this in and kind of see what comes out. And then again, proofread, tailor it, refine it, etc. A final step that I think is a good one is to run it through a site that called JobScan, or there's other sites like it. JobScan is just one that I'm familiar with. So this is a way where you can kind of just like, it's like a last step. You can scan both your resume and your job description and say like, is it aligned? Like, where are there any big gaps? And if so, then you can think about like how to close those gaps. It's pretty intuitive if you go to the site, and I have the link for you as part of this slide deck. One of the last slides has all the different links to use, but it basically is like copy your resume here. So that's pretty intuitive. I'm not going to go through it, but I do think it's a good sort of like final step before you're kind of like ready to apply. Okay, so we're going to move off of resume and move on to LinkedIn, unless anybody has any questions about resume. Okay. So I'm actually not going to spend a ton of time on LinkedIn profile optimization, and that is because I think it's not that different than what you're doing for your resume. I did include a prompt here because I think, at least in my experience working with clients, some of the biggest areas that people could optimize is their headline. People put in like just their current title. I've actually had clients who had nothing. But this is like real estate. Your headline is super important because when you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, as you probably know, like you only see the first half of like their profile. And so that's basically like your banner, your headshot, and your headline. So if you have nothing there, like you're really did the brand and the story that you're telling people, it's not great, right? And even if you're saying like, this is my job title, like, okay, I mean, that doesn't tell you that much. So you can use AI to generate like a really great headline that kind of showcases more about like your expertise. So this is a prompt that you can use. I like to ask it to give me three options. And then I kind of pick from the options which one, feels the best to me. Or sometimes then I look at those options and I like integrate them together, or like play with them, right? But it's like just a good starting space. And again, actually, I wish that I kind of put some examples of like what a good headline are. But it really should be embedded with like the keywords of the job that you want, not just your title. Um, okay, so then skills, again, this is very similar to how you would use ChatGPT to derive skills from your resume for your skills section on your LinkedIn profile. And finally, the About Me section. Again, some people forget to put the About Me section, but I think this is pretty important. I think this is similar to your resume summary, but it's a bit more personal and casual. This is, more like what are you passionate about? What drives you? And also sort of like what are your achievements and how will you add value in this role or the marketplace or industry, whatever it is like you're striving to do. Um, so I'm pretty sure one of the links I have later on, again, will give you some prompts for your About Me section. So again, I'm not going to like go into that in detail, but does anybody have any questions about LinkedIn? No. Okay. Okay. So cover letter, this is like a big topic. So, these would be three recommended steps to take if you're writing a cover letter using AI. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to gather data. So you want the job description, right? You want your resume. Do some research on the company. Why are you even interested in this role? What are maybe some of the values of the organization that resonate with you? Um, and then think about your top three achievements as are like relevant to the role that you're applying to. So then you have all the details that you need to enter this prompt into ChatGPT. So create a cover letter that highlights my, I don't know why, so maybe just my experience in healthcare, emphasizing how my track record of here's my achievements can benefit the company, use my resume and job description as a guide. And then the third step, sound a bit like a broken record, but I can't emphasize it enough, is then you read it, tweak it, proofread it, adjust it, proofread it again. Is it the right tone, right? Does this sound like you? Does everything make sense? Does it highlight what you want it to? Does it sound like a person wrote it? If not, why not? And what can you change? I have this one client that I'm coaching right now, and she's looking for like a meeting events planning role in hospitality. And ChatGPT keeps like put it like in her summary, it said that she like approached things with poise. And we're just like, nobody says that. Like that just feels really weird. Like, what could we say instead of poise, right? But it's like picking out those like people don't talk like that, right? Like what would be a word that I would actually use in a conversation? And we came up with just like calmness and confidence, right? Like that sounds more natural and real. Um, okay, so then here's some tips on making AI sound more human, right? So the first step, read it aloud. Does this language even sound natural? Right? I said like when we read poise, we were both just like ick. um, but then of course there's some prompts you can ask AI to sound more human. So rewrite my resume to remove or cover letter to remove overly formal or repetitive phrasing. Adjust my resume tone to sound more natural and engaging, right? Avoid stiff or over polished language. Um, one other, so I read this online. I don't know if it is true or not, but I'll share it with you. Is that there are, if I go back, maybe I can see in one of the, okay. So you see this like double hyphen. So what I read, and again, I don't know how reputable the source is that the double hyphen is very much an indicator that you use ChatGPT to generate something. So I now always go back and like, I mean, you could use a comma in most of these situations, right? And so I kind of go back and look through that. Again, I don't know it to be true, but if it's true, then like it's just like an easy fix, right? Okay, so we are at the end of what I prepared for you today. So, like Matt said, he's going to share the deck with you. Here are links. This is just to ChatGPT if you've never been to that site. There's some prompts for your resume. This is a link to actually, there's like a zillion prompts. So I just picked out some of them to share with you in the slide deck, but there's other ones that you can use. There's also this AI tool that can like scan your LinkedIn profile and analyze it, which is kind of cool. So I have that there, and then the link to JobScan as well. And then this is just a little bit about me and what I do. And there is my LinkedIn link is here. So I would love to connect with you too on LinkedIn if you're open to it. And that is all from me.